This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Turned away. Tourists and tourism operators at Cape Breton's Highlands National Park are left scrambling after the province-wide woods ban. Boosting security, using AI metal detectors to identify weapons at Nova Scotia hospitals. And tug of war. Teams battle it out in Colchester County at the annual provincial exhibition.
More hot, dry weather, especially into the weekend. But next week, a pattern change. We'll talk about that coming up.
Good evening. Some tourism operators and people visiting Nova Scotia have been left scrambling to change their plans after the provincial government imposed a ban on activities in the woods earlier this week. Across the province, wooded trails, backcountry camping, and activities in forested areas are currently off limits. It's all in an effort to reduce the risk of a wildfire. Anna Rack reports.
It's a clear warning throughout Cape Breton Highlands National Park. Closed. Trails off limits. Tourists have arrived this week to these messages. Activities are banned in wooded areas in an effort to reduce wildfire activity, limiting where visitors can go in the park.
We were really looking forward to doing some hiking, especially my husband.
Yes.
And wanted to do the Skyline Trail and Acadia, and today was kind of the day to do it because it's gorgeous out.
It's put a little bit of a damper on it, but we completely understand with the dry weather that you guys are having here, so it makes sense to us. It's still a scenic, it's beautiful. It's very scenic still, so that's good.
Yes, and protect the forest, because people can make mistakes, have a cigarette, so we want to be safe.
I personally think it's not really a good idea because, it's just preventing people from hiking over here. We came here, we drove an hour and a half just to come see this, and now we can't.
Front country camping is still permitted by Parks Canada, and tents are set up in the day use area outside the park's information centre. Businesses have been affected by the ban as well. Live Life in Tents had to cancel multi-day hiking trips due to the woods ban.
People that plan their trip to come here are canceling campsites, cabin rentals, and if they're canceling cabin rentals, that means they're canceling all the river activities that we offer as well, even though those are still fully open.
Fraser wants to see an actionable plan from the provincial government, so businesses like his are not affected by the ban. In the meantime, those visiting the park are making the best of a very dry situation.
It's a shame that it's closed, but we certainly understand why. And, the Cabot Trail and the park are just so beautiful just to drive through and do the scenic overviews that, I can't complain too much, really. It's still going to be a fantastic day here in the park.
Anna Rack, CBC News, Petite Tang.
The province has also banned the use of all fireworks amid the tinder-dry conditions. The ban applies to consumer and display fireworks and pyrotechnic special effects, even if approvals have already been given. The fine for violating the ban is $25,000, the same as the previously announced ban to stay out of the woods and the ongoing burn ban. A farmer in Pictou County is sounding the alarm on the dry conditions, saying her crops are withering. With no rain in the forecast, there is a real concern about how farmers will manage. The CBC's Juliana Grillo went to a farm to see this year's produce or lack thereof.
So we've got dried plants, holes where there used to be crops where they've dried.
Alessandra Rodick and I walked through the shriveled crops at her farm in Pictou County. Typically green and lush, this year's dry spell has changed things up. She's losing thousands of dollars in sales because her crops are simply not growing like they used to, like these yellow beans.
We think it was about 220 of them. Yellow beans are one of our largest income earners. Nova Scotians love their yellow beans. But unfortunately, our estimate of how many we have left is probably about half that.
Usually, when there's not enough rain, she can irrigate the crops. But this summer, she can't get enough water. Not from her well, not from the nearby river, and not from her irrigation pond.
I should be up to my neck with water here at the irrigation pond, but as you can see, I'm fully dry. Rodick says her partner had to get a job outside the farm to keep up with the expenses.
Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada says the drought is hitting the entire province, with pockets of central Nova Scotia being the most affected.
We're seeing sloughs and swamps and traditional water supplies dry up a little bit. And also shallow wells are going dry. So we're seeing producers running out of surface water.
The Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture is also hearing from farmers, and many are struggling to keep their crops alive.
We always hear those words like, farmers are resilient. We can bounce back. We can, we'll try it again next year, and all of those sayings. But those get really hard on the heart, one might say, after a little bit.
Meanwhile, Rodick is counting on crops that are more resilient in the future, and she's still holding out hope for rain, and soon. Juliana Grillo, CBC News, Pictou County.
And Ryan Snoddon with us now to have a quick look at the weather forecast. And yes, hope for rain soon, but no sign of it really in the near future.
No, we're talking late next week, the next chance for showers, and it is so dry. I'll look back, the last time we had a substantial rain, a widespread substantial rain across the province was June the 7th and 8th. That's when we had about 30 to 40 millimeters widespread across the province. This map includes that rainfall. This is the past 60 days and the departure from average precipitation over the last 60 days. So even including that 30 to 40 millimeter shot, look how dry it is. We're 70 to 110 millimeters in the hole in terms of what we should have and don't have across most of the province. And here down into the south and west of the province, including western areas of the HRM, up towards Cobequid Bay, and then back into western areas of the valley, we're 110 to 150 millimeters in the deficit. And in and around Digby County, again, this from Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, their estimate, that area 150 millimeters or more in the deficit. So it is, again, super, super dry. And when we look at that rainfall outlook, we run through the weekend into early next week. Maybe a few drops as we work our way towards late next week. That's what we're holding on to hope for right now, Tom. All the details coming up.
All eyes on that. Okay, Ryan, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, people visiting hospitals in Nova Scotia could soon see changes in security as soon as this fall. Nova Scotia Health is installing new metal detectors that use artificial intelligence to find weapons. The move comes months after a violent attack on hospital employees in Halifax. Carolyn Ray tells us how they work.
For nearly 2 weeks in the spring, people going to the emergency department in Truro were greeted with a new kind of metal detector. Instead of old technology that beeps when metal goes through, this machine uses AI to determine if the item is something common, like keys or a potential weapon. It also shows where the item is located. Hospitals across the country have been using the technology for a while, so Nova Scotia Health decided to test it out.
We are seeing more incidents for sure. We seem to be in a different time, and we need to flex, move, and respond to that, while maintaining the fact that this is a healthcare facility and we're welcoming everyone.
The drive for change came after a shocking incident in January when 3 employees were attacked by a patient in the emergency department of the Halifax Infirmary. 2 of them were stabbed, leaving staff and their unions demanding upgrades to security.
Our members have been telling us that this was going to happen for a while. Just lack of safety, lack of security, not only at the HI, but a lot of our ERs across the province.
The health authority says the results out of Truro were a clear success. More than 7,400 people entered this emergency entrance and walked through the device. It detected 49 banned items, mostly pocket knives and box cutters, unintentionally brought into the hospital. The items were confiscated but returned to the owners when they left the building.
It's not a panacea for all our problems by any stretch of the imagination. We will use it in conjunction with other things to make our security more effective, but we were quite happy with the way that it performed.
Our members are telling us that they did not feel safe for a long time, and we're pleased that this is now being addressed.
The health authority plans on installing these new metal detectors as early as the fall. They'll go into the hospitals that have had the most number of incidents first, with the Halifax Infirmary being high on the list. Carolyn Ray, CBC News, Halifax.
A man accused of killing his cousin more than 3 years ago has pleaded not guilty and agreed to have the charges against him heard by a judge alone. Trayton Alexander Marsman is charged with second-degree murder in the death of 16-year-old Devin Marsman, who disappeared in February of 2022. Trayton Marsman wasn't charged until last year. In addition to the murder charge, he's also accused of indignity to human remains and obstructing justice. 4 other people have also been charged in connection with Devin Marsman's death. Nova Scotians are dealing with an emerging insect that's devastating their gardens. The Japanese beetle is an invasive species, and there's mixed advice on how to deal with them. Olivier Piercy explains.
Backyard gardens across the city are being eaten alive. Flower beds and homegrown veggies have been ruined. The culprit? The Japanese beetle. Gardeners are searching for solutions to deal with the nuisance.
Always disappointing, especially when you go through the tilling, the planting, the weeding, the watering.
Sean Spur has been anticipating his homegrown peas for months, but one morning he woke up to find the crop destroyed.
Must have been 60, 70 peas. Come out the next day, stumps. That's the way they leave them, all topped off.
The beetles have been around since the 80s, but the population has boomed in recent years due to climate change. They can fly hundreds of meters and chew away at fruit trees and flowers, leaving plants bare. Experts say squishing the bugs only attracts more. The pests are here to stay, and there's no way to completely eliminate them from your garden. But there are ways you can manage them. Scientists recommend spending an hour every evening picking the bugs from the plants by hand and drowning them in soapy water. That's because traps might attract more to the area. But depending on the size of the garden, picking each bug can get tedious.
It's pretty annoying, to be honest. It's a lot of work, especially if you have a big garden and they're on a lot of stuff and you carry a lot of stuff that they like.
Alexander Godfrey oversees the greenhouse at Lakeland Plant World. He says the nursery uses traps to deter the bugs, and so far, they've been effective.
They were on a couple of our roses, most importantly, and once we put the trap out, within about 2 days, they were completely gone.
Spur used the soap and water method, but recently got a trap for his yard. He still sees them in his garden, but says he's noticed a difference. The bugs might be aggravating, but Spur isn't giving up.
When you pick a tomato, it's 5 times the flavor of any store-bought tomato. It's worth the effort.
Scientists say predators and parasites haven't caught up to the beetle's presence in Nova Scotia, but once they do, the population will likely become more manageable. Olivia Piercy, CBC News, Halifax.
The Nova Scotia Provincial Exhibition has pulled into Bible Hill. This year, 4-H tug-of-war teams from across Nova Scotia showed off their strength to win a pull against local police.
We're underway for your championship match. 4-H tug-of-war here at the Nova Scotia Provincial Exhibition. They both won it. They're both itching to play the RCMP.
So each team is comprised of 10 members, all of which have to be 4-H members, so they're between the ages of 9 and 21. Each team also has to have 4 females represented on the line. When we walk up, we're just lining ourselves up to get the best advantage. The sport of tug-of-war is really all about leverage, so we align ourselves so we have a really low kind of front rope, and then we get heavier as we go towards the back and a little bit higher. The pulls go to 5 minutes with a 1-minute overtime, but we only ever hit overtime if we're dead set when we hit that 5 minutes.
All right, and we're going. 2 seconds in, we're heading it in.
They were really strong off the drop, but after that, they didn't really have it in them. It's a big family. You got to make sure that you're there for the person behind you and in front of you. And in the end, at that 4.5 minute mark, you got to be ready to dig down and get it out of your heart.
So we've never touched a tug-of-war rope before in our life, and that was the product you've seen. That's why we probably came up on the short stick. I would say there's a strong chance we could come back, maybe a little bigger, a little stronger, and a little faster next year.
Colchester on 3! 1, 2, 3, Colchester!
The biggest thing to learn in this sport is really just teamwork. So if we're not working as a team, if we're not collaborating, we're not getting anywhere.
And there you go. One more reminder to stay out of the woods. Ryan back with a full weather forecast after this.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia. Book your appointment today for free, confidential mental wellness support.
All right, Ryan with us now for the full weather forecast. And yeah, dry is the word of the day for sure. You do get the sense that people are getting the message. We just saw the sign on the way into the break there at the Windsor Street Exchange, stay out of the woods. The message seems to be getting through.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned last night at this time, summer's short. It is beautiful. We can't change it. So at least do try to get out and soak up a little bit of this warmth, because before you know it, it's going to be September. We're going to be back to school and
head to the coast. Go to the beach.
Head to the coast. That's right. Get out and be safe and just get out and enjoy some of the weather, because we can't change it. The other thing we're dealing with over the next couple of days is a bit of haze in the sky. And note this webcam shot. It's been working its way back in. This is the smoke from the western wildfires that is starting to work its way back into the province. This is a live shot from Lower Truro. Hey, and a couple of folks sitting on those chairs we're always talking about, Tom.
They look comfortable.
They do. And have a look at the wildfire smoke in terms of the forecast here. So there, again, I mean, just a reminder of the situation out west and what we don't want to happen here. So that's why we have to be so fire safe. And you can see that smoke fanning up across Hudson Bay, then down to Labrador, into Newfoundland, and then now back south in that northerly flow we've been seeing. And as we look at the outlook here through the overnight, in through Friday, it looks like Cape Breton and eastern parts of the mainland will be seeing most of the smoke in the sky tomorrow, but likely still in the mix back toward the south and west. Into Saturday, it looks lighter, although a little bit thicker towards the New Brunswick area, and that possibly could work its way down into our region Sunday into Monday. Temperatures out there right now, light onshore winds, high teens and low 20s along the coast, and we've been climbing into those mid, even some high 20s towards northern areas for today. And as we walk you through the forecast over the next couple of days, those temperatures are going to stay very warm. We've got a system building in from the west that will basically usher in this warm and increasingly muggy air mass over the next couple of days, and it is a warm one indeed. So let's walk you through for tonight. We're going to be talking about, let's back things out. There's tonight's forecast. Temperatures ranging between about 10 and 14 degrees. Light winds, fog patches developing, some dew once again on the grass and on the vehicles for tomorrow morning. Note for Friday, we're off to the races with that sunshine from the get-go after the fog mixes out, and temperatures are going to be even warmer for tomorrow. Across Cape Breton will range between about 25 and 28 degrees with those light southwest winds, 5 to 15 kilometers per hour. Water temperatures near 19 degrees, so great day for the beach in through Inverness County, and across the north coast, those water temperatures right near 20 degrees. Terrific day for the beach along the North Shore, and a great day for the beach along the Atlantic coastline as well. Bit of a refreshing sea breeze, but a light one at 5 to 15 kilometers per hour. Temperatures into the mid-20s across northern areas, or western areas of the province, and you can see the Tri-County area low 20s, the South Shore temperatures into the low 20s as well. Okay, so Saturday, that high pressure area still anchored off to our east. The southwest flow continues. There's that system that is going to remain offshore. We'll hardly even see a cloud from that by the looks of things right now. Temperatures mid to high 20s again on Saturday, low 20s in the onshore winds. And into Sunday, there's that system peeling away south of Sable, and we're going to remain under this ridge of high pressure. A couple of showers pushing into New Brunswick on Sunday. Doesn't look like those will be able to make their way into our region as we ride through into early next week with that sunshine. Temperatures into the high 20s, low 30s. Showers Thursday into Friday of next week. That is looking increasingly likely thanks to the climbing muggy meter, which will continue to climb through early next week into the mighty muggy range by Tuesday, and it looks like it will continue to climb beyond that into late next week. And this is kind of what the model is projecting in the long range, as you can see here. By the time we get to the Wednesday time period, Thursday, and especially into Friday and Saturday, you can see the green on the map. This is the model projecting, yes, the potential for some showers and thunderstorms with that increasing mugginess, Tom. It's at least something to hope for, though a long way out.
Yeah, there'll be lots of interest in that for sure. Okay, Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, the drier than normal conditions are not just affecting Nova Scotia, but much of the country, with wildfires burning in BC, the prairies, Ontario, and other parts of the East Coast. But the drought conditions are also raising other concerns. Lisa Shing has more.
With our drought conditions, you can see they've stopped flowering. They're no longer really producing, and they're just starting to burn up.
They're usually a robust crop, but Dan Christolitis has only harvested a third of the beans he usually does.
We're going to see a decrease in yield and lower revenue into the fall.
There are drier than normal conditions in some places across the country. Large areas in Western Canada experiencing what Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada calls moderate or severe drought. More recently, Eastern Canada also abnormally dry. Many places getting roughly half of the rain that's expected.
Everybody is in the deficit situation with regards to moisture. But what's making it particularly worse is the fact that it's been so hot. When it is hot, you need more precipitation, not less, to balance things out.
These conditions prompting Nova Scotia to ban hiking, camping, fishing in wooded areas, an attempt to stop what happened 2 years ago when wildfires destroyed more than 200 homes.
These restrictions mean that some people will need to change their plans and routines. But when compared to the damage that we saw in 2023, it's not a risk to take.
Newfoundland battling 3 out-of-control fires that have forced hundreds to evacuate their communities.
Now the island is a tinderbox, so please just think about the consequences of your actions if you're thinking about having a bonfire.
Experts say these conditions could become the norm, and that will change our environment.
Some of these fires are so hot that they literally leave scorched earth behind them where nothing survives, no seeds can grow, and we can see a completely different shift to another type of ecosystem.
That will take a toll on the economy, and farmers like Crystallitis will have to adapt. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
Coming up, how Nova Scotia's drought-driven restrictions are impacting woodlot owners in this province. As you've been hearing, Nova Scotians have been ordered to stay out of the woods in a bid to prevent wildfires. The province is in the midst of a stretch of dry and hot conditions, and that's having an impact on people who make their living in the woods. Todd Burgess is Executive Director of Forest Nova Scotia, representing woodlot owners, sawmills, and contractors. Julia McMillan co-owns woodlots and sells to mills around the province. Julia, maybe I'll begin with you. I gather you agree with these restrictions, but what kind of an impact are they having on your operation?
Well, Tom, we certainly do agree with what the government has imposed on the fire ban. We know firsthand how dangerous the risks are right now. However, the impact is huge. You're down an extra 10 hours from operating. We are allowed with permit to be in the woods at night from 8 p.m. and out at 10 a.m. the next morning. But that's a whole shift down. And obviously in our industry, it's all production oriented. So it does come at a financial cost, certainly at a time where the viability, feasibility of contractors in this province is at, it's very fractured from the last 5 years. So it's hurting.
And so, Julia, how do you cope with that loss of revenue?
Well, we hope it rains soon, and we'll have to do double time and weekends to make up for it when the woods open. The problem with that, Tom, and in the summer, like a farmer, we are into areas that we can only go into and work in summer, like we do in the winter blocks. So we're going to lose some areas that we may not be able to get back to.
All right. And Todd, I gather there have been stoppages in the past because of dry weather. How common is this?
I wouldn't say it's very common. A couple of years ago, we did have shutdown, but I think it's just a sign of the changing times with the changing climate. We've got dry conditions and wet conditions. So at some point we're going to get some rain, and we may even have some big storms. So it's not common, but I suspect will be more common as we move forward.
Yeah, and I guess it's better to be safe than sorry. Speaking of what's common and what's not, how common is it for forestry workers to cause a fire?
I don't have those numbers, but I would say that our forestry workers are probably some of the best trained if there is a fire. Most of our forestry workers have fire gear and they've taken courses, so they're very well trained and they know what to do if there is one that's caused.
Todd, Julia mentioned there, yeah, exactly, the training key, I'm sure. Julia alluded to the challenges that the industry are already facing. How do you see it from that perspective? You have the kind of the helicopter view on all of this, of course. How is the industry doing right now?
Well, the industry is doing quite poorly. To bring up the Northern Pulp thing again, that was one of our biggest consumers of low-grade wood. So if we're not, contractors and woodlot owners aren't able to move that low-grade wood, if there's no market for that low-grade wood, it lays on the ground, or it doesn't get cut at all. So there is a lot of debris in the forest. It's very difficult to manage your forest when you can't get rid of that low-grade wood. And it's very dry, and there's a lot of it still on the ground, especially after Fiona.
Yeah, so already tough times, as you mentioned there. Should the industry receive compensation for losses due to these restrictions? Is that something you're even considering at this point?
I personally haven't. I don't think Forest Nova Scotia has considered it yet, or considered asking for it yet, because I believe, and most people in the industry believe, the restrictions are warranted. It's a very important thing to do because everyone who works in the sector loves the forest, and we know how important it is. And the last thing we want is for it to go up in flames, because that would be the worst thing to happen in the forest sector, or even for biodiversity. It's one of the worst things to happen, is to have a forest fire go through. So everyone is very well aware, and we're prepared to hold the line and do what we can to protect the forest there.
And I might interject, the one thing that would help for the Fiona cleanup, we predicted that only about 30%, Tom, has actually been harvested and cleaned up in the northern part of the province. If there were funds available again to help the landowner, to help the contractor clean up more of that wood, that would mitigate the high risk that we are facing right now. This is unprecedented, the risk to woodlands in northern Nova Scotia right now with that fuel load, and we cannot continue to clean that up with the quality of that wood now, and there's lots left to do, and we do need help with funding for that.
And of course, still the big question about a pulp mill, if there ever will be one in the province again, that's having an impact for sure. Julia, I know in the short term, I suppose the biggest thing you're hoping for is rain.
We are. I mean, we've go through tough times. This is another one. It's fairly. We need more funding though for the Fiona wood. That troubles us and keeps us awake at night in northern Nova Scotia. Tom, I can't express the amount of fuel load on our forest today with this fire hazard now is extremely dangerous up here.
Okay, and just before I let you both go, quickly on that note, are you getting the ear of government on this, or do you feel like there's things at play that might help turn the industry around?
I would say our provincial government is probably paying more attention to the natural resource sector than they have in a very long time. So that's welcome news. We've had a number of meetings so far with some government representatives and some with the federal government as well. So they're well aware, and I believe they're willing to help. So we just have to come together to come up with some decent and solutions that will work for everyone.
All right, we'll watch how it all goes. Good to talk to you both today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Coming up, at the stroke of midnight, U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariffs went into effect across the globe. And new data shows the Canadian Armed Forces saw a spike in extremism and hateful conduct last year. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariffs have taken effect around the globe. They target more than 90 countries with repercussions rippling far beyond. Trump has promised the new import taxes will bring the U.S. billions of dollars in revenue, but many economists say any windfall comes at a steep cost. The CBC's Peter Armstrong has more on the immediate impacts of these tariffs.
It's been nearly 100 years since U.S. tariffs were this high. Imports from dozens of countries were slapped with new tariffs as of midnight last night. The Yale Budget Lab says Americans will pay an average of 18% more for imported products as a result. And there's more to come. We're still waiting to hear how the Trump administration will deal with pharmaceuticals and semiconductors. When that midnight deadline swooshed past, Donald Trump posted to social media saying, quote, "It's midnight, billions of dollars in tariffs are now flowing into the United States of America." His Commerce Secretary was asked just how much money will come into American coffers as a result of these tariffs.
Last month, it averaged just over $30 billion. And as of last night, midnight, the tariffs went up. I think we're going to be heading towards $50 billion a month in tariff revenue.
Now, what Howard Lutnick leaves out there is that it's Americans that are paying those tariffs. Sure, some companies have been able to negotiate better prices and convince foreign suppliers to cut their costs because of these tariffs, but that's not at all universal. And we've seen plenty of evidence of that. GM says its profits in the first 3 months of the year cost that company $1.1 billion. Ford posted its first quarterly loss in years because of the tariffs. Apple says all told it expects tariffs will cost that company somewhere close to $2 billion through the first half of the year. But in a lot of ways, the uncertainty caused by the tariffs and the trade policy in general is an even bigger problem. Job growth has slowed sharply in the face of so much uncertainty. GDP growth shrank in the first quarter and has grown at a mere 1.2% through the first half of 2025. And that was all before the latest tariffs kicked in. So brace for yet more volatility and more uncertainty in the days and weeks ahead. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Washington.
Prime Minister Mark Carney met with Métis leaders today to discuss Bill C-5. The legislation is one of Carney's responses to Donald Trump's trade offensive, aiming to fast-track major infrastructure projects. Carney told the meeting the bill won't mean Ottawa will be dictating to Indigenous communities.
And core to that concept of how we build is building in true partnership with Indigenous peoples. And that's why we're here to listen, to hear your perspectives, to make the most of this opportunity.
Carney says consultation with Indigenous communities is embedded in the bill. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel intends to take military control of all of Gaza. In a U.S. media interview, Netanyahu said the plan would assure Israel's security, remove Hamas, and liberate the population.
We don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas. The only way that you're going to...
The Israeli leader is meeting with the Security Cabinet to discuss the takeover plan. Military chiefs have pushed back against expanding the campaign. Criticism is intensifying in Israel and abroad over the devastating war in the territory. Israel's military says it controls about 75% of Gaza. Most of its population has been displaced during the 22-month-long war. Health officials say tens of thousands of people have been killed, and aid groups are warning the territory is on the verge of famine. The Kremlin says Vladimir Putin will meet Donald Trump as soon as next week. The U.S. president has been seeking a breakthrough to end Russia's war against Ukraine. It comes on the heels of talks in Moscow between the Russian leader and a U.S. envoy. Crystal Gumansing has the latest from London.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says both the U.S. and Russia showed interest in this meeting. The summit is expected to be held within a matter of days, with the location agreed to, but details still being finalized, according to Kremlin policy advisor Yuri Ushakov. The last time the leaders of the U.S. and Russia met was before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Former U.S. President Joe Biden met with Putin in June 2021. U.S. President Donald Trump said Wednesday it was also possible there would be a trilateral meeting between the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine. Putin, however, told reporters he has nothing against it, but before that, certain conditions should be created. And unfortunately, we are still far from creating such conditions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spent part of his day speaking with European leaders in France and Germany. Posting on social media, he said that they agreed the war must end as soon as possible, and again stated that as Ukraine is a part of Europe, European leaders must be part of the peace process as it impacts security across the continent. Russia, meanwhile, has been making gains on the front lines. In July, it seized roughly 600 square kilometers, the biggest land grab of the year. And earlier this month, Russian forces claimed to have taken Chasiv Yar, a town in the Bakhmut region in eastern Ukraine. In Kyiv, Ukrainians are tired of the war, but also skeptical. There is a deep mistrust of Putin. People in the capital said regardless of what is said in any meeting, they doubt the Russian leader would end the war anytime soon. Even the U.S. president has been frustrated with Putin in the past and his words not matching his actions. If you recall, it was just last month when Trump said, quote, "We get a lot of BS thrown at us by Putin. He is very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless." Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
Emergency officials say a massive wildfire in the south of France is burning at a slower rate, but it's still considered out of control. One woman has died and 11 firefighters have been injured, according to local authorities. The fire started on Tuesday and is the largest the country has seen in 75 years, and it has already burned through an area larger than Paris. The wildfire has destroyed dozens of homes and forced hundreds of people to flee. A fire official told local media he's hopeful crews can contain the fire before Friday. An investigation is underway to determine the cause of the fire. And closer to home, parts of Newfoundland are dealing with 3 out-of-control forest fires. The Kingston, Holyrood, and Martin Lake fires have forced hundreds from their homes and put numerous communities on alert. These are pictures from the flight to put out the Holyrood fire southwest of St. John's. Evacuation orders are in place for parts of Holyrood as well as Kingston, Perry's Cove, Western Bay, and Conception Bay South. There is no rain in the forecast, but officials are thankful that it's not too windy. The Canadian Armed Forces and Coast Guard are being deployed to help. The Canadian military is facing a resurgence in reports of hateful and racist conduct within the ranks. New data obtained by CBC News from the Department of National Defence shows after a couple of years of decline, the number of reported incidents spiked last year. Ashley Burke has the details.
Guns, explosives, ammunition. One of the largest troves of weapons ever seized in a terrorism investigation on Canadian soil. 4 people with ties to the military charged last month for an alleged plot to take over Quebec land.
This is extremism, ideologically motivated violent extremism, and in fact it is a threat to national security.
For years, the military's documented hateful conduct in the ranks. This record obtained by CBC News shows examples from the past, including a military member accused of neo-Nazi ideology who likes Hitler and hates all immigrants. Another person was allegedly part of a white supremacist group, and police found a Nazi flag at a residence of another CAF member.
I think that
this professor interviewed former extremist Canadian military members and says what one told him is explosive.
He said he went into the military to learn how to kill brown and black people. And that was, to me, very disturbing.
New data from the Defense Department shows the military reported 330 incidents of hateful conduct over 4 years. The majority of it, claims of uttering threats, intimidation, and hate propaganda. In 2020, the military put in place new policies to crack down. The numbers dropped year after year until 2024, when it spiked again.
There's a link between that rise and the election of Donald Trump.
They're poisoning the blood of our country.
Trump's anti-immigration and anti-DEI rhetoric is a narrative experts believe unleash more extremism in Canada in 2024.
The military continues to be predominantly white and predominantly male. It's especially, I think, vulnerable to those sorts of narratives that are trying to explain or trying to convince them somehow that white men have been left behind.
The Army's commander says hateful conduct must be rooted out.
Something I probably shouldn't say on CBC, but pisses me off, is that the important work that the Canadian Army needs to do to modernize, our eye is being taken off that, our focus is being taken off that, so we can deal with completely unacceptable and inappropriate behavior. That needs to be done.
The data shows the military is dealing with the majority of these cases in-house, and so far only 21 incidents have led to military members being kicked out. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The family of an Indigenous man in Manitoba is demanding change after health officials admitted he was subject to racism while seeking care in the final months of his life. Stephen Rockwell's family says hearing that admission brings them some peace, but there's still much work to do on the issue. Ian Fraze has their story.
Stephen Rockwell loved goofing around with his kids and the friends he'd send silly videos to.
I watched a man go from being a jolly, gentle giant that joked with everyone. I didn't even know who he was by the end of it.
His family says Rockwell, who was Indigenous, received racist treatment at Thompson's Hospital. He was in remission from leukemia when he went to hospital 3 times in late 2023. His family says staff wasn't taking his pain seriously. They gave him pills, accused him of being a drug seeker, and sent him home.
He went somewhere where they were supposed to help him, and they didn't give him help.
His family says Rockwell was only treated urgently after a chiropractor felt the mass in his back that October.
He had tumors all over the place.
4 months later, he died of cancer.
What if they would have listened to us? What if they would have given him treatment faster?
Leona Massan says her son blamed racism.
He got upset and he told the doctors there, I want to be treated like everybody else on this ward.
Manitoba's Northern Health agreed with the family. Officials told them in July racism impacted how Rockwell was treated.
Adding experiences of racism into that healthcare journey is really just unfair.
As for Northern Health, in a statement to CBC News, it offered condolences to the family of Mr. Rockwell and is vowing to eliminate all forms of Indigenous-specific racism. This spring, Manitoba's government said systemic racism exists in healthcare after a report found people of color generally wait longer in Winnipeg ERs than white people. All Rockwell's 4-year-old daughter understands is that her dad isn't around. She went looking at the hospital.
She's like, are we here to see Daddy? We're going to go visit Daddy? And that's heartbreaking.
Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Canada's main stock index closed down today, while U.S. markets were mixed as tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump against dozens of countries took effect. Here is a look at the numbers as we head to break.
This weather update is brought to you by Access Wellness Nova Scotia Mental Wellness Support.
All right, time to wrap things up now. It is picture-taking weather in Nova Scotia, to say the least, especially if you're interested in pictures of the sun.
Yeah, or the moon in this case. Have a look at this. We're going to go right back to the valley, not far from where we were last night in Nicholsville. This is Windermere, which is just basically a stone's throw from South Berwick. And
oh, wow, that is orange, isn't it?
Yeah. Valerie Leslie with this, I believe 2 nights ago. And just a terrific shot. Of course, that wildfire smoke in the mix, just making things look, well, a little extraordinary. But it's
kind of eerie, too, isn't it?
It really is.
Discussing this.
And that's going to be the case again tonight with the wildfire smoke in the mix. And you can see it all coming from Western Canada. And that wildfire smoke will be in the mix overnight tonight. Also throughout the day on Friday, primarily across eastern parts of the province. I think in Cape Breton will be the kind of where we see the bulk of that smoke in the mix by the looks of things. And then as we move into Sunday, this model doesn't go out that far, but it looks like we'll see it kind of working its way back in from the west. Friday, mid to high 20s, southwest winds 5 to 15. That'll keep temperatures in the sea breezes a little bit cooler. So a great beach day. Especially for the North Coast, but also the Atlantic Coast with a refreshing sea breeze there. Mid to high 20s, as we said. Similar story for Saturday, and Sunday's looking very similar to this as well. We have to go all the way to late next week before we find ourselves some shower chances. It looks like that shower chances beginning Thursday, continuing into Friday and Saturday as well in that increasingly muggy setup, Tom.
Yeah, we'll need it by then for sure. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan. Well, finally, how's this for a rover rescue?
Bravo, wait.
First responders in Romania pulled a dog trapped out of the rubble caused by flash floods recently. They were also able to carry another dog to safety. The eastern part of the country was hit by heavy rain and winds, which triggered the widespread flooding.
Now a big cleanup is underway. More than 25 villages were affected by the extreme weather, causing hundreds of people to flee their homes for higher ground.
Lots of damage there for sure. That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take care.